Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on Tuesday, October the 15th, 2013, at 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. First item is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. And tonight, Pastor Juan Morales.
Or either that or Pastor Brad, whichever.
How about Pastor Brad? Okay.
Let's pray. Father God, we just thank you and praise you for your love, your grace, and your mercy. We thank you for all that you are and all that you desire us to be. Lord, we thank you for this nation, and we ask you to lead and guide our leaders in Washington to come together for what's best for this nation. Lord, I ask that truth come out wherever needed, nationally, worldwide, state level, and here in the city. Lord, I ask you to lead and guide our mayor and city commissioners here today. Let the decisions they make tonight be the best for the city. In the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Mayor's report.
Yes, I have a real brief report. My first report, or my message to the listening audience, if there is one, and to the people here in this room, is that I would like to extend my gratitude to all of the people who do so many functions for the city. I know I see Peter Goodman out there with the Latin Jazz. I know that George Ramirez and many people from the city partook and made that a great event over this past weekend. I know that the weekend before, we had a beer fest, we had a safari, we had a cyclopia, all which are very well attended, and it wouldn't happen without the help of all these wonderful people who go out there and set up for us from the city, all the volunteers that we get. And sometimes we forget to say thank you, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you, because anybody who says that there's nothing going on in Brownsville is not paying attention. There's a whole lot of things going on, and a lot of great things going on. So to all of you, my sincerest appreciation. The second thing that I'd like the public to know is that not because of any partisanship, but because of what you see going on in Washington at the present time. I felt compelled over the last, couple of weeks to make sure that our young people understand that in order for their voice to be heard, they have to learn and go out to vote. And so I have visited, as of today, 6 of the Brownsville high schools, because those are the 17 and a half and 18-year-olds. I'm talking to the senior classes, the history classes, the civics classes, as to not the obligation, but the right to vote. That's a right, a very precious right. And so, if we don't want things to happen like are happening today, I'm not here to tell you which way to vote, but I'm just telling you to vote so your voice can be heard. But we've had a wonderful response from the seniors of Brownsville high schools, and as a matter of fact, Chris Davis, who is our election administrator for the county and handles all the elections, has asked for poll watchers and poll judges. You can be 16 years old, and not only do you get credit in your civics class or whatever class you're attending, you also get paid to go do it for one day. And thus far, even though we've only been to about half of the high schools, Chris was telling me this afternoon that there has been quite a few of the students who have signed up to do that, because all you have to be at that particular level is 16 years of age. So I ask all of you to be ambassadors, not for the Democrats, Republicans, Independents, or otherwise, It just simply, as American citizens, we all have the right to vote, and we should exercise that right. So that's my report for this evening. Commissioner Deborah?
I actually have a report. Along those lines, I was so pleased and honored to have been asked to speak at Dr. Cox's government class at UT Brownsville, my alma mater. And I actually see two of the students here today, if you want to stand or wave. I invited them to attend more commission meetings, to be more involved in their community, and also to exercise their right to vote, because they do have a voice. So I appreciate you coming tonight and being here. I was impressed by their poignant answers, because I was a little, I guess, thrown back with some of their questions, and the answers that I gave them, I hope, inspired them. But the funny thing is, I conducted a survey of my own and asked them questions about what they thought of Brownsville, and I found myself being inspired by their answers, so thank you for that. I also attended the annual Texas Municipal League Conference in Austin last week from October 8th through October 11th. Among those in attendance with me were Commissioner Longoria, Charlie Kabler, Pete Gonzalez, Norma Zamora, Art Rodriguez, Chris Hagstrom, and Roberto Luna. City staff and I attended several lectures and workshops and learned about new ways to further develop our city and advance the community. One of the great contacts was a consulting company that has helped cities like Harlingen and Los Fresnos attract and recruit retail outfits. And one of the examples they provided us with was conducting a license plate survey. And it's a really great tool that will allow us to understand the demographic of our consumer, and will make us more fully equipped to recruit large retail outfits. City staff and I are currently working on reaching an agreement with this group and conducting this survey, which will also benefit our city's Economic Development Council and Chamber. Another great project was a new concept for our city's social interaction and accessibility to the public. It's an app for a smartphone, iPad, and it's also computer capable. It is an app that will allow quick communication and response with, for example, public works. If there's a problem with the street, you can very quickly take a picture of the location, upload it to your phone, and submit the form and everything electronically, just from your cell phone, to our public works staff. They in turn receive this report, and everything is documented. So it's very interactive, quick, and it will make our city a lot more productive and user-friendly. And the great thing about this is that I was surprised when I came back to talk about it with everyone. City staff just informed me that we will be rolling out a project of our own very similar to this within the next couple of weeks. So that's something to be very excited about. And I'm also working on other projects that are still in their early stages, and I hope to keep the community informed as they develop. Thank you.
Very good, Commissioner. Appreciate that very much. Anybody else? Okay, number 3.
Number 3, presentations, employee of the month.
Mayor, members of the commission, Mayor, you commented on great employees of the city of Brownsville. Let me introduce one, our employee of the month for October, Alma Pisania. Alma Pisania has been with the city for 15 years. She began in April 1988. She's worked in several departments within divisions within the police department, records division, property and evidence, and things of that nature. But in 2011, she was assigned to the Special Investigations Unit, where she works very closely with sensitive information relating to, of course, investigations being conducted by our undercover and auto theft officers. She works very well in helping us prepare the auto theft grant that is done annually, and was actually a vision and an invention of the city of Brownsville. She's also has a good relationship with fellow officers from the federal and state agencies. She works very well with them in coordinating many events and in scenarios throughout our community and our city. We're very proud of her. I'm very proud of the fact that I got to work with her for many years before I left the police department. So we are honoring her today with the plaque identifying her as the Employee of the Month, the pin, and hope it's a girls' watch. Girls' watch, ladies' watch. Thank you. And she's eligible for the Employee of the Year at our banquet in December. So congratulations, Alma.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank the Honorable Tony Martinez, City Commissioners, also City Manager, my ex-boss, Supervisor. Also, I want to thank the most important person in the Brownsville Police Department, that is our Chief, Orlando Rodriguez, that made, I'm sure, this possible. I am so happy and so honored. I love to work for the City of Brownsville, the Police Department, and I want to thank you guys for allowing this to happen. I'm so excited. I just heard today, so super excited, surprised, and thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
The next presentation is the Brownsville Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals.
We have an updated pin card with that. Can I replace that, please? Edit it.
My name is Becky Haley. I'm with the Coalition of Animal Advocates for Cameron County. I represent the rescue groups, the majority of rescue groups in our county, and the statements that will be made today are reflected from them through me to you. We appreciate you hearing us. It has been a very difficult road for us, and we hope something can be resolved with this presentation. Shelters should reflect the values of the communities that they serve. The overwhelming majority of Americans, 71%, believe that shelters should not be allowed to kill any homeless pets unless they are too sick to be treated or too aggressive to be adopted to the public. Euthanasia in these cases is different from killing healthy, adoptable animals for space. It is important to make the distinction between euthanizing and killing. 96% of Americans, almost every person surveyed, think we have a moral duty to protect our animals and should have strong laws to do so. In 2012, Brownsville Shelter killed 80%, 7,878 dogs, kittens, cats, and puppies. The same was in 2011. It was still at 80%. Back then, it was 5,253 animals killed. We have adopted out 9% in 2012. As stewards of the community, public officials are in a position to bring shelters in line with those values by mandating practices, best practices, and modernizing shelter operations. Empty cages. The information provided in empty cages will provide you the opportunity to help Brownsville save more animals and support the community you serve. Brownsville Pets Alive and area rescue groups want Brownsville to move toward a 90% or better live release rate. This is becoming a national standard across the country, and more importantly here in Texas. Austin is at over 90%, El Paso is at over 90%, and many other small to large communities. Information provided in empty cages will provide you the opportunity to help Brownsville save more animals and support the community you serve. Please keep this image in mind. These are all cages in Smith County Holding Facility. We don't know at this point what happened. Were the animals killed? Cost of killing versus cost of rescue. Impounding, caring for, killing, and disposable costs averages $106. This was a national figure. The process is entirely revenue negative to the municipality. Releasing the same animal to rescue saves $40. It is morally reprehensible to assume that death is better than a chance at life. What are rescue groups? We are nonprofit. All the money we spend comes out of our own pockets or from grants and donations. We are a business with board of directors that maintains the no-kill rescue to adoption operation through a network of foster homes and effective procedures and policies. Rescue groups exist due to donations from the public, both financial and the supplies used, such as pet food, pet bedding. Rescue groups, again, do not make any money. If a rescue group is making money, they're doing something wrong. These are some of the specific things that we do. We're dedicated to saving lives. We practice health and behavior rehabilitation. We promote population control by sterilization of all the animals. We do not release any animal to an adoptee until sterilization has been completed. We place pets in permanent homes. We are all volunteer. We have contract or preferred veterinarians. We receive support by donations, fundraisers, and grants. And we encourage adoption by low adoption fees. This is Bella, her before and after. Bella was pulled on 9/15 with no fee prior to the BARC shelter policy meeting on 9/23. The invitation received by the rescue groups read, BARC management, in other words, BARC, Brownsville Animal Regulation, Care and Control, would like to meet with a representative from each rescue organization to discuss BARC policies and discuss any questions you may have or ideas you would like to share with us. We'd like to build a bit stronger relationship with our local rescue groups and exchange any ideas to help all of us reach our common goal in saving animals at the animal shelter. This was an unusual invitation from BARC, rarely they ever reach out to us, to rescue groups. Instead of exchanging ideas, which we were led to be the motive there, they informed us that effective immediately we could use our own veterinarians. However, any animal pulled by a rescue group would be charged $86, whether the animal was sterilized or not. Excuse me, I'm just really dry.
No problem.
The $86 would be waived if rescue groups used the BSN facility, which is the clinic attached to the BARC facility. Thank you. In past experience, rescue groups have wanted to have the option of using our own veterinary suppliers due to lower costs. We're not just talking here in the valley. We transport animals to Denver, to Chicago, to Lansing, to San Antonio, to Austin, and to Houston. These facilities are even larger than we have here, and they have their own veterinary staff on hand. They will not pay us to take an animal from us to them. They will gladly take our animals, as many as we can get to them, but we do not receive a cent for them. So any money, such as the $86, comes out of the voluntary purse that we've got. The new fee, in essence, forces us to use the clinic if we choose to pull animals from BARC. Our past experience with BSN, Brownsville Spay Neuter, has been negative to the point of some rescues refusing to adopt from BARC due to the clinic. Getting involved with the adoption or problems with BARC management and policies was a major issue with them. Effective policies were not consistent for all rescue groups. In fact, a boxer occupied a BARC kennel for 7 months. No other rescue group can house an animal at BARC for that amount of time. And that animal should have gotten out of there. Instead, how many animals were killed because that animal was there? Other rescue groups are not allowed to use BARC as their foster home. Portia, before and after, in her forever home and with her forever family. This fully vaccinated senior dog was pulled from another valley shelter without any pull fees. She was spayed by the rescue group, groomed, medically treated by a rescue, and subsequently adopted.
I didn't know she was that sick. That's really sad.
What?
I didn't know she was in that bad condition. That's really sad.
Yeah, it's amazing what the before and after pictures. Population control reduces shelter intake. Trap, neuter, and return is one community program of population control for feral cats. In fact, in some communities, the ACOs do the trapping, the city pays for the neutering, and the cats are returned to their colony. Spay-neuter must be readily available to more impoverished areas of the city for a very low cost or free. Even $86 is too much for a low-income family. Additionally, it has been found that mobile clinics are very effective in low-income areas by going into the community itself and providing spay-neuter right there where they are at. Sterilization, pet population, obviously through sterilization. Sterilization means that the pet is either spayed or neutered. It is fixed and altered, and that means that no animal can ever reproduce. Customary shelter practices to reduce euthanasia rates. Work closely with rescue groups to pull animals out of the shelters. Do not charge a fee for rescues to pull the animals. Do not spay, neuter. Veterinary services, if offered, are written off by shelter. BARC practices increases euthanasia and decreases adoption rate. The charge of rescues of $86 is much higher than the rescue cost. Many rescues do not pull animals from BARC due to this cost and impossibility of pulling animals prior to spay-neuter surgery. The Brownsville City Shelter, officially named Brownsville Animal Regulation and Care Center, exists in Olmeda. The Brownsville Spay-Neuter Clinic was funded by a private grant through Catherine B. Stillman to the city of Brownsville. In May 2010, the city contracted the clinic out to a private contractor, Mr. Edgar Trevino, owner and director of the Brownsville Spay-Neuter Clinic. With the close proximity of the two services, it appears to the public that the two are actually one. This is actually compounded by the fact that the clinic management present themselves as having the authority to make policies and procedures for the shelter and managing adoptions. And this is mostly from out-of-town rescue groups, breed-specific rescue groups. When they talk to one, they feel that both are under the same control. Harlingen Humane Society is contracted by the city of Harlingen and several other communities. Their practices are they vaccinate on intake, they test for heartworm, they transfer ill, injured, or heartworm positive animals to rescues. They send adoptable pets to rescue to free space. They utilize a nonprofit network and transport. They release animals to nonprofits with no fee. All veterinary services and care are absorbed by the shelter. Approximately 5% or 500 animals of total intake were released to rescues in 2012. This is an example of a successful shelter practice, and the key to any successful shelter is the use of existing cages better. Additionally, one dedicated volunteer animal advocate can coordinate an adoption, foster, transfer, and rescue shelter program. Networking is the key. We are constantly calling other shelters in the United States, breed-specific rescue groups, trying to find out people that will take our animals. We have a high demand because we have a high group of animals that are breed-specific, they're highly adoptable, and the majority of them are smaller animals, and so people want these animals. Other parts of the country, in the Northeast, in Canada, and in the Northwest, are crying for animals because they don't have any animals that they can get adopted out. So we can easily transport to them. Denver can take an average up to 50 dogs a month from us. The current pool fee at the Brownsville shelter of $86 for nonprofits will divert rescues elsewhere. Harlingen Humane Society and Palm Valley Animal Center, where there are no fees for rescues to pull shelter pets. Why does Brownsville Shelter have a policy that does not support saving shelter animals? The city has chosen to support the spay-neuter contract clause about spay-neutering all shelter animals before going to rescue. Shelter management now states that all rescues will be charged $86 to pull animals from the shelter and that have not been spayed or neutered. No one understands this policy. Brownsville Shelter has chosen a strategy that killing is better for the bottom line instead of rescue, unless the clinic can support or can profit from the spay-neuter. Why else would they involve the clinic in this regulation? Making economic sense. One example of a funding organization available for no-kill nonprofit animal organizations is Maddie's Fund, the Pet Rescue Foundation. This is a family foundation funded by PeopleSoft founder and Workday Dave Dufield and his wife Cheryl to help create a no-kill nation. It is important to note that Maddie's Fund provides a lot of grants, but they will not provide any grants to a shelter that mandates sterilization or government facilities that mandate spay-neuter programs. We would also caution in microchipping as a form of a policy requiring, as not all vets do microchipping here in the city. So it would mean also then that animals would have to go out to BSN for additional expense. All local merchants where pet-related items or services are sold benefit with the municipality. Spending on companion animals is one of the mainstays of the American economy. On average, Americans spend approximately $1,696 per dog and $1,105 per cat annually, which translates to increased sales tax revenue. As a community, we have a moral obligation to save the life of a shelter animal when it has somewhere else to go. No animal should be put down for want of a loving home. BARC's 2011 and 2012 kill rates were 80% of total intake, while San Antonio Pets Alive went from 90% kill to 90% live release in less than 5 years. Public-private partnerships save lives, save money, and improve public satisfaction with government. It's a win-win-win. We hope you realize it costs more money to kill shelter animals than to collaborate with no-kill organizations commonly referred to as rescues. Communities do not support killing adoptable animals to make space for more animals, which is what Brownsville is doing. Just in case more animals come in, they make sure that they have empty cages at the end of the day. We hope you understand it will not make sense to the public when Brownsville rescues go to other cities to take animals out of shelters while the Brownsville shelter animals are killed. If the $86 is continued to be set, the rescues that I am speaking for will no longer adopt or take animals out of BARC. We cannot afford that fee. None of those animals were killed. Smith County Holding Facility. All animals left to adoptions, foster, transfers, and rescue groups. This was in September of 2013. This is how we should empty our cages. The young dog that occupied this cage was killed along with 21 other companion animals in one day in 2012 to make space at BARC for other animals, just in case they come in. BARC killed an average of 22 companion animals each day in 2012. Without a strong adoption program and rescue partnerships, the needless killing of healthy, adoptable animals will continue. There has been days that BARC have killed up to 57 dogs in one day. Remember, no animal should be killed for lack of a loving home. That's all I have. Thank you very much for hearing us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Excuse me, item 3, consent agenda items.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 5, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 3 members to the Airport Advisory Board.
Mayor, City Commissioners, the purpose for coming before you this evening is to request the City Commission to consider an act in accordance with Ordinance Number 1033, which creates the Airport Advisory Board of the City of Brownsville. I think it's particularly important to note Section 6 as well as Section 8 of the ordinance that creates the Advisory Board. Section 6 notes the City Commission may consider the mayor or one of the City Commissioners to serve as an ex officio member of said Advisory Board, and who shall act as liaison or advisory in a liaison or advisory capacity. The city manager shall serve as an ex officio member of said board. The director of aviation shall also serve as an ex officio member of the advisory board. Ex officio members shall have no voting privileges. Section 8 states the basic purpose of the Airport Advisory Board. One of the specific functions of the Airport Advisory Board is to study, prepare, and present, after advice and consultation with the Director of Aviation, to the City Commission a master plan for the operation of the airport, improvements to be made thereon, a plan of utilization of facilities and hangar space by owners of private airplanes, rules, conditions, and regulations under which said private owners shall use and operate their private facilities, and the airport facilities in general, taking into consideration maximum and best use of all land areas, facilities, and improvements. Those are the 2 milestones and basic purposes for the existence of the Advisory Board, which has existed since January of 1982. You have before you a list of expressions of interest by people through the City Secretary in being appointed to the Airport Advisory Board. Perhaps the most important position has to do with a member of the City Commission to serve as an ex officio advisory board member on the Airport Advisory Board, and that provides that liaison talked about between the City Commission and the Airport Advisory Board. I'd also like to note you, Manuel Alcocer, who's the current chairman of the Advisory Board, is here this evening. And with that, be happy to address any questions the Commission had with regard to those appointments.
Mayor, I'd move to appoint Commissioner Jessica Tetreau as a City Commissioner representative on the Airport Board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank
Okay,
you.
that's your commissioner. Now, do you need 2 more members?
There are
Three.
2 vacant positions on the Airport Advisory Board, so you have, that list that you have of potential appointees would be appropriate to choose someone from to be appointed now, if you'd like.
I have a question. On there says that Mr. David Belliperch, he's on 3 different, is he on the 3 different committees already, or what?
No, my understanding
Oh,
is
he's
the rule.
interested.
He's
Yes.
interested,
Oh, okay.
right,
He only applied
in
for
those
it.
positions,
He's on the beautification committee.
right.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Stephen George Bejarano for one of the positions.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's Stephen. Is that the one you, okay, so now you lack 1 more, is that correct, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, one more, and to fill the vacant position,
Right.
right.
I'd move to appoint Mr. David Belliperch. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. There's one more position which the commission needs to decide from, and it is to whether to reappoint or appoint new to the position that Sam Merrill is in.
Okay,
Okay, so that's what I was asking. So David is already serving on the beautification committee, and he wants to be appointed to the airport and the advisory committee?
That makes 2 boards. Now that he's on airport, that puts him on 2 boards.
That's correct.
He's at his max.
So he's
That
out
eliminates him
from them.
consideration for you.
Okay.
Right.
so you've got 2 that are wishing to be reappointed.
Well, there are 2 that you all have acted on now to appoint to vacant positions where no one's
Right.
in that position.
Okay,
You have 1 member left. The person has expressed an interest in being appointed, but the commission has the discretion to appoint someone new to that position as well. The person that was appointed in filling the position was just filling an interim term from someone who had resigned previously.
okay.
Is Mr. Joe Torres your former employee?
Yes.
Retired?
Pardon?
Retired?
Yes, retired.
Just checking, just checking. Move to appoint Mr. Joe Torres.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Even though he did kick me out once. Yeah. Parking for him and the got into it too.
Item 6, consideration and action to appoint 1 member to the Brownsville Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Mayor and Commissioners, we have an opening, and the person that we're going to replace was a representative from Melissa Zamora, Commissioner Zamora's precinct, and Ms. Portillo took that place, and I believe she has a nomination.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mari Carmen Lanzaldúa.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mari Carmen is yours.
Thank you. Have a good day.
She's a very good candidate.
Item 7, consideration and action to appoint 2 members to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
Mayor, members of the commission, I was actually going to request that we table this item tonight. As per our ordinance, the chair is to notify the commission of any replacements due to their being absent for 3 consecutive times, and she's not here today, so I'd like to table that.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling this
Aye.
item?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 8, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2013-040 to rezone from dwelling classification to general retail classification for lots 1, 2, and 3 of Cherry Estates Edition located near FM 802 and Dana Avenue.
Major Commissioners, this is a rezoning from dwelling G. As you can see on the map here on the screen, the area is shaded in red. is the request for rezoning from dwelling to for commercial. The Planning and Zoning Commission all in favor of this rezoning.
Didn't we have something concerning an area around there? It's not
Yes, ma'am, across Dana for apartments on the last meeting, well, a couple of meetings before.
But yet,
So what are you asking, what's the difference between that or that
This
request?
is
and this?
retail, general retail, and this is fronting FM 802.
But it was classified as dwelling before?
Yes. They was never asked to be rezoned. It was never a city initiated. It was still empty land. It is an empty land right now.
But the property that came before us at the last city commission meeting was in the G area, wasn't it?
yes.
Can I have?
It's disgusting.
The air? Okay. The area from last meeting was this right here, on the middle of 6 commercial, light industrial, right here. And this is these 3 properties that belong to the same owner, fronting FM 802, which is across from 82, is general retail, the same zoning. And this goes along the trend of FM 802.
And the other one, excuse me, if I recall, the other property wasn't facing Ruben Torres. This one is?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think that might be the difference.
Well, the thing is that my concern, my problem with this is that this is street front on Ruben Torres. The other one was in the back. He wasn't asking to change the frontage part of it. He was asking the back part that didn't have anything to do with the access on Ruben Torres. And if this is right next to it and it was already zoned dwelling, why did you come to us and say that the board was not recommending that we allow that rezoning? It's right adjacent to it.
Wait,
and it was facing Ruben Torres.
I presented the last case. So the last case was 6, it's in 6 commercial, and it wanted to downzone it to apartments. In this case, it's dwelling, and they want to upzone it to 4th commercial.
And so what's the difference between what we were, I see the difference, but isn't this also, we're going back to the spot zoning that you're saying that we're changing in?
Not necessarily. You have, along Ruben Torres, you have, as we all know, it's all usually general retail basically from the expressway all the way up to Old Port Isabel. The Stripes is right here.
No, I understand the frontage issue.
so
But what I'm asking is, how is this different than what he asked us with the rezoning? Isn't it the same as the spot zone rezoning that we're doing?
No, because
Explain to me the difference so that I can get clarification on it.
The general trend along 802 is commercial, and that's what we've been seeing for the past 10, 20 years. There are pieces of property in the city that sometimes, for some reason or another, never get rezoned. Whether it's the owner that doesn't want to do it, or maybe it's not market feasible at the time. In this case, we have this case where it was dwelling, and I think we're lucky that he wants to rezone to a 4th commercial and do a retail center there. It makes sense because everything along 802 is a retail
I
center.
understand the concept. What I'm asking is, what is the difference? To me, it looks like if it's spot zoning, so that's why I'm asking.
Well,
you
it's
for you
not.
to
It's not
clarify
spot.
for me.
The difference is over here is because you're surrounded by 6 commercial. So if you take out one spot, if this whole area is 6 commercial and you take out one little spot out of that and make it apartments, that's a spot zoning. In this case,
For the tract of land, is that what it is, for the tract of land?
for that tract of land. So in that previous case, you had this big square that's 6 commercial, and you have this big square that's 6 commercial, and they wanted to take out this little tract and make it apartments. So
Okay.
that is the difference. Here, apart from it being a general trend of retail on 802, they're upzoning to a category that's allowable and that's reasonable.
No, I understand, now
so-
I understand.
Yeah.
It
So
was
that's the
because it was the
difference.
tract of land that he was trying to get a chunk of that to
Yes.
downzone it.
So if for this, the same case would hold here, let's say in this blue area, let's say one of these owners wanted to rezone it apartments, that spot, so.
Okay.
What is going to be the buffer between that and the homes right behind it?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
Is there going to be any buffer between that and the homes that are right behind there on?
Just the requirement from the building code, which is a cedar fence, a 6 feet cedar
Because
fence.
I don't
or
have
some type
anything
of
here in my
screening.
packet that would describe that.
They didn't submit any, they haven't submitted any plans or anything, they just
No,
want the
this is
rezoning.
this is a rezoning. This is not a specific use. This is a rezoning for general retail, which allows retail, restaurants, offices, things of that nature.
I would like to table it to wait and see if it's possible to see if we can see what kind of buffer they would put for those homes there, because I don't think that that's
Well, I
fair
think
to them.
the concern there would be, I mean, there's already setbacks and regulations that they would have to abide by. They're not asking for the specific use, which the specific use is, if I understand it correctly, that's when they attach the plans.
Yes, yes.
Because
ma'am.
I just don't think it's fair to the homes, and I don't agree with you based on the last judgment that you made across the street that was within feet away, considering there's a school down the street.
Commissioner, even though I did agree with you on Mike's case, it's
It's
totally
different.
irrelevant. No, it's totally irrelevant. It's,
Well, that's
it
your
has,
opinion.
it's two totally separate different things. Maybe if they showed you a site plan, but, you know, being somebody that was in favor of Mike Garza's project was denied. This is, according to our zoning guidelines, two completely separate different cases.
Which I agree, but it's my opinion.
This is
It's a motion.
public hearing. Any other comments?
Move to close?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action item.
Move to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Nay?
Motion carries. Next item.
Item 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2013-044S to allow a professional office use in a dwelling classification for Lot 1, Block 1 of Ridgeline Terrace number 2, located at 5101 Sugar Mill Road.
Again, we have another map projected on the screen, and this is a specific use for our professional offices, which is located in Alton Glory. And this sport right here is the CVS, which this property is just across the.
Is that by the water tower?
Yes, ma'am. The water tower is in this property right here. It's barely next to this. The specific use is for a professional office. This was before the Planning and Zoning Commission. Again, all in favor of the specific use.
Okay, this is still public hearing. Any comments from the public? Anything else from the commissioners?
Move to close?
Okay, I had a
Second.
motion to, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think it was Robert's Rules of Stuttering.
Who made the motions to approve
Second.
and second? Okay.
And I stuttered through that one.
Item 10, public hearing and action on
Wait, we
first.
need to move to approve.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry, I
haven't
thought you all
voted.
had voted on the actual item.
Move to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 10.
Item number 10, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2013-045-S to allow a duplex use in a dwelling classification for Lot 5 of NS Liddell subdivision, Section 2, located at 2944 East Avenue.
Again, we have another map projected on the screen. This is area shaded in red. This is East Avenue. This is also a specific use for a duplex.
Are there
And
any other duplex around there?
Across the street.
right here and across the street, and these are commercial properties also. There's a couple of stores, retail stores.
Is he gonna knock down the store?
No, this is just next to it.
Right next to it?
Yes, yes, sir. Again, this was before the Planning and Zoning Commission, all in favor of the specific use.
Okay, it's
Signage
public,
are-
Public hearing, anybody have any comments?
Move to close.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 11, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 235-2013-601-CU, an ordinance to allow a conditional use permit to sell off-premises alcohol on 4.5 acres of Lot 11 and 12 on Monsieus Acres, located at 7036 Padre Island Highway.
Again, we have another map projected on the screen. This area shaded in red is the conditional use permit. Right now, it's located on this lot, a liquor store, and they're planning to move it and build a new store here. They're gonna tear down the old one, and oh, here it is. This is the alcohol. The liquor store, and they're gonna be moved to this area right here. And technically, it's a different property, and that's why it's before you. Again, the advisory group, the Planning and Zoning Commission, all in favor of the, the moving of the building to the new area.
Okay, so, public hearing, any public comments?
Move to
Commissioners?
close.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Public comments? Public comments? There are no public comments, Mayor. Item 14.
What about the record?
Item 12, thank you. Public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2013-919-J, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Brownsville by promulgating a new Chapter 10 records and dealing with related matters.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. What we're doing here this evening is asking you to take note of these changes that we want to make to the record ordinance, and actually it's clarification on some antiquated language. For example, some of the language like he versus he or she, which, because we have women that run some of these companies now, so we want to put that in the record. And also the way we do business with regards to towaways or customer request towaways. Currently, the ordinance calls that that we have a form filled out by a customer when they request their own tow, or we fill one out in lieu of that when there's towaways. We document that already electronically over the radio, so there's a historical record of that. So we just want to remove that from the ordinance, and it talks about officers' discretion to counsel records prior to their arrival, which we do responsibly now, but there's nothing in the ordinance that allows that. So those are really the highlights of this change. And also, when somebody makes their own transport request, they remove their own vehicle, the ordinance will call for them to clean up their own debris and not leave it there to accumulate on the street. So that we're asking that this is a public comment that we'd like to make these changes. By the way, I want to thank Mr. Robert Esparza, of course, legal, and Commander Henry Rutledge is in the back of the room for working on this ordinance change.
Okay. Public comment from anybody out in the audience?
Move to close.
I'm
sorry, go ahead.
The record company?
We actually, I'm sorry about that, Commissioner. We met with all the record companies, so nobody was left out. It doesn't really affect them as far as fees, et cetera. So everybody was met with and in a meeting session. So
Didn't get phone calls, so it must have been all right.
Right.
And obviously, you have it all well documented, Orlando. I'm assuming that's what's happening, and we don't need superfluous stuff. Is really what it all amounts to.
That's correct.
Okay.
Move to close.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
No public comment.
Okay.
Item 14, consideration and action to approve resolution number 2013-054, to approve a plan of finance to issue general obligation refunding bonds to refund certain outstanding obligations of the city, and certificates of obligation to finance or provide the city's local share for the construction and acquisition of certain capital improvement projects, and authorizing the city staff and professional advisors to prepare and distribute all documents and take all actions deemed necessary in connection with the preparation for the issuance of such obligations, including the selection of underwriters.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this resolution authorizes us to show you the plan of finance for the debt that's going to be issued. On page 1 of the handout, if I may ask you to turn to those pages as we go through the presentation. The Certificates of Obligation Series 2013A calls for the shelter domes local share, the sports parks, libraries of $1,650,000. It also includes $3 million for street construction and sidewalks. I may add that the sidewalks includes 15%. 15% of that amount will be charged to the sidewalks, so the $3 million. There's also a typo. It has roof replacement. The resolution has equipment and vehicles. That's $300,000. The police department radio system replacement of $3,400,000. Excuse me. The total is $8,350,000. Plus, we also have the airport borrowing needs of $1,075,000. That's the local match for the runway. If I am asked you to turn to page 3 of 4, and I can go over some of the schedules. On the first column, column B, it gives you the net assessed valuations for the various years. It also, on column C, shows you the growth, the potential growth during those years. But if we can look at 2014, which came in with an assessed valuation of $5,771,016,332, which had a growth of 3.41% from the previous year. Column D shows the debt service, $15,784,404. Column E shows the debt service requirements on the new debt of $8,585,000, which we would require, and these are all estimates because the debt has not been issued yet. The certificates will be sold in November the 19th. So that would require $636,138. And then we have on column F, we have the debt service for the new money for the airport of $129,290. And then you have a cash flow savings because of the refunding. So the total existing debt would be $16,549,035. We are paying $1,909,000 from self-supporting debt on column I, and then column J again gives you the amount from the airport. So we'll have a debt service, new debt service at the end of 2014 of $14,509,000, which has the 23.39 cents. The restructuring and the refunding, which also includes in this ordinance, we're showing a present value savings of $1,070,146 as a result of the restructuring and the refunding, which is 7.07%, which is real good. Normally, anything above 5% is good. This shows 7%. On page 4, shows you the calendar of events that will be taking place. We will be, on the next item, we will be publishing the notice of intent to issue certificates, and that's going to be posted or included in the Brownsville Herald on October the 18th and October 25th. We are required to publish an intention to issue certificates of obligation by law, and that's what we're going to be doing. On the week of November 4th, we're going to have the meetings with the rating agencies, and we're thinking of inviting the rating agencies to come to Brownsville if possible, and maybe some of us can meet with them. We normally go to Dallas. In this case, we're trying to see if we can bring them down, and maybe we'll get together with some of you. Maybe some of you can participate in some of these meetings with the rating agencies. And the November 19th is when we come to you to sell the certificates and to have the refunding, and that's the plan. Again, this is a resolution that we're asking you to authorize.
Okay. Any questions? I'll consider a motion.
Move to approve.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Pete, along with this, and this is all good work, but what I would suggest, if we're going to be meeting with the rating agencies and things of that nature, because of the nature of the growth of the city, perhaps maybe as well as Mr. Noé Hinojos here, along with his intern, Carlos, nice to have you here, who's from Spain. we would like to kind of get together sometime and maybe meet with the commission so that we can kind of outline a little bit of the planning that we go forward with the capital improvement program that probably the rating agencies would probably like to see sooner or later. So if we can keep that in mind.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mayor. Yes, we are all working on CIP already. It's in progress.
Okay.
And obviously, we're going to be meeting with the department directors. And as soon as we meet with the department directors, we'll meet with you through a workshop. And maybe at that time, we can have
would
this
be
with
great.
you.
Appreciate it very much. Item number 15.
Item number 15, consideration and action to approve resolution number 2013-055 to authorize publication of notice of intent to issue certificates of obligation to finance or provide the city's local share for the construction and acquisitions of certain capital improvement projects.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, this resolution also has in here a publication notice that it's going to be published in the newspaper this coming Friday, which has the notice of intention to issue the certificates of obligation on those particular dates, which will be this coming Friday and then the following Friday. And again, we're asking for your authorization.
Right. This is a motion. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 16. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you.
Item number 16, consideration and action to approve an amendment to the Greater Brownsville Incentives Corporation, GBIC bylaws.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Commission. This is an amendment to the GBIC bylaws, specifically 5.05. In the past, the way GBIC evaluates economic development projects is they have a service contractor, which is the BEDC. The BEDC performs a due diligence according to objective criteria, and then makes a recommendation to either fund the project or not fund the project. We've had some experience in the past, not with this current administration, but in the past with people taking economic development projects, bypassing the BEDC, going straight to the GBIC board and catching them when there's not that many people there. The GBIC board has decided that they want to impose a restriction on themselves, and it would run as follows. If all economic development projects would have to go to the BEDC for proper vetting for a due diligence investigation. Okay, that's number one. Second of all, if the BEDC gave a positive recommendation, then the GBIC would be free to either decide to fund the project or to reject it if the GBIC thought it was a bad idea. However, if the BEDC did a due diligence examination and determined that this was not a good project, the GBIC wants to impose a limitation on themselves as follows. First of all, they wanted that the GBIC would take no action except after 2 regularly scheduled board meetings to provide a 60-day cooling off period. And second of all, in order to overrule a negative due diligence investigation, the GBIC would have to have a supermajority to do that. In other words, if the GBIC board thought, we know the BEDC had some doubts about the project, but we think it's a good idea, they wanted to do that. They want to impose a supermajority requirement where there is none now. And obviously the fact that the BEDC would decide that it was a good project wouldn't create any additional burden on the GBIC to fund the project. In other words, it would still be their discretion to fund it or not to fund it. The only change I would make to this is, after I wrote this, I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, what if the city of Brownsville or the university needs money for a project? They don't need to be vetted. So I would add to the word where it says all economic development projects, I would add the word private after the word all. So all private economic development projects, because that was the intent.
Do you have the previous bylaws?
The previous bylaws are identical to this. This is a new section that's in it. So the only change is 5.05. The rest of the bylaws are the same.
I know I know Commissioner Tetreau had some questions regarding, or she had concerns with regards to some stuff that was happening with the 4A board. I hadn't reviewed the bylaws, but in just reading it right now, I had a question that came up on section 4.03.
Okay, Commissioner, these are old bylaws. The only change that's being made right now is to 5.05. And if there's some old, so if there's something in there that you'd like to talk about, maybe after the meeting, we could talk about it
Yeah,
and
but I
make
don't
the changes.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is it just with regards to the changes that you're asking us, or
The o-
are
the
we
only
reviewing the
the only-
entire bylaws?
The only change would be to 5.05, which would be the only
And
change in the
I
bylaws.
think under the Robert's Rules of Order, that's all we can address, because we're not on notice of anything else.
That's the only change.
Happy to bring it up at a
And
later
we
time.
can make you can make the motion to approve section 5.05 of the bylaws.
I would like to take everything together if there's other concerns that need to be addressed, instead of just taking it piecemeal.
Well, the GBIC board voted on a specific bylaw change, and what the
But
procedure is.
it's subject to the commission approval.
But the only bylaw change that was voted on, Commissioner, was section 5.05. The rest of the bylaws are the same and are in effect right now. So the only thing that's before you is the change to 5.05.
Well, I still would like to make a motion to table so that we can review it. And I personally would like a little bit more time so I can discuss this with you. I don't want to do piecemeal changes if there's other concerns. I have some concerns with some other sections of the bylaw, so I would like to make a motion to table so we can address that.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's go ahead and go by hand count, I think, is the only. Aye is 1, 2, against?
Against 3? No, I was Yourself?
Oh,
Who are the
well,
against?
it's one,
The
there's
nays?
2 for, to table.
Okay.
Who is against tabling?
Okay.
No, Rose, so it passes. Table.
Okay,
Table.
we'll table.
Okay.
So there was an issue with this amendment, or?
I'm sorry?
I'll
Yes.
ask you after the meeting.
Okay, next item.
Item 17, consideration and action on resolution number 2013-057 to approve the application to access the reservation system for 2014 through 2015 Amy Young Barrier Removal Program funds from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs Housing Trust Fund Division.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm going to have Charim Wadarama, one of our grant writers, present this resolution tonight.
Good afternoon, Mayor.
Good afternoon.
A resolution of the Brownsville City Commission approving the application to access the reservation system for 2014-2015 Amy Young Barrier Removal Program funds. Whereas the City of Brownsville support equal housing opportunities for all residents and seek to affirmatively further fair housing. Whereas the City of Brownsville desires to apply to access the reservation system for the Amy Young Barrier Removal Program from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, TDHCA, Housing Trust Fund Division on behalf of eligible low-income tenants and homeowners with disabilities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Brownsville does hereby authorize the application for such grant, and upon receipt of the reservation system access agreement does further authorize the execution of the grant agreement from TDHCA and the expenditure of funds pursuant to the terms of said agreement between TDHCA and the City of Brownsville. Be it further resolved that the persons whose names, titles, and signatures appear below are authorized to sign the reservation system application, and that they or their successors and in said titles are authorized to sign the agreement, and any other documents necessary in connection therewith. With this funding, the city's housing program will be able to provide home repairs and modifications to Brownsville residents with disabilities.
Very good. Do I hear a motion?
Would approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 18, consideration and action on resolution number 2013-056 to authorize the closure of Southmost Boulevard for the 14th Annual Veterans Day Parade to be held Saturday, November the 9th, 2013.
Mayor, Commissioners, we need your authority in order to close Southmost Road for that parade, that event on that day, requesting your approval to do so.
Second.
All those in, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 19, consideration and action on resolution number 2013-058 to accept and set public hearing dates for voluntary annexation requested by J&I GP Partners LLC, property owner, and dealing with related matters.
Mayor, City Commission, this is a, we don't get this very often, but it's a voluntary annexation request. And this resolution is only merely to set the public dates. There's a process that we have to follow according to state regulation. So this is the first step, and the other ones will be on November the 5th, the next one, and November the 19th. So
Okay.
It's just to set the dates for the public.
this is just to set the dates, yes, exactly.
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 20, consideration and action to request authorization to renew a term contract for B Metro Fleet Management and Maintenance Services.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. We're requesting authorization to renew a term contract for B Metro Fleet Management and Maintenance Services to First Transit, current contractor, for a contract amount of $1,432,634 for the first year of the 2-year renewal contract. This is the same amount that we have for the current contract year, which is 2013. Year 2 pricing will be negotiated as outlined per the contract.
Your motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Lupe.
Thank you.
Item 21, consideration and action to award a contract for a land use assumption study for the Brownsville Planning Department.
Mayor, City Commission, this is merely the first step in the studies that we have to do by state regulation for impact fees. So the land use assumption study will forecast the future growth of Brownsville given variables. And then, so once this is done, PUB will kick off their wastewater master plan process, and then we have to do the impact fee number. We have to come back with an impact fee number. So this is merely the first step, and we've communicated a lot with PUB. We've coordinated the scope of work as well, so we really think this will be a positive outcome in the future. So this is the first step. We ask for your approval tonight.
Okay.
To approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Very exciting.
Item 22, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of new 10-ton portable asphalt recycler to be used by the Public Works Department.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Tonight, we're requesting your approval to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of a new 10-ton portable recycler from Cooper Equipment out of San Antonio, Texas, to be used by our Public Works Department. The City of Brownsville Public Works Department is seeking to maximize an efficiency of our daily operations. This asphalt recycler will not only provide asphalt for patching, and using the recycled material already obtained, it can save the city substantial amount of resources over the lifetime of this machine through environmental impact, cost benefits, and emergency production capability. We're asking that you approve this item, and the funding for this item, the requisition would be for the plastic bag ban, account number 014141943.
Is that an approved use of those funds?
Excuse me? Yes, ma'am. We went through legal and purchasing, and we got it approved.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.